You're hearing the best baseline in sports television, and that's because I'm walking over to Jevohn Shepherd, our basketball analyst, to talk about this Team Canada roster announcement. First of all, you're the Wolf of Wall Street today, Jevohn Shepherd. You look great. I love the double-breasted.
I like this. You're pizzazzy.
We're just trying our best, right? We're trying to look good, just like the Canadian Olympic team. Initial reaction to the players that were invited from you.
What a roster.
Yeah,
right? This is
wild.
This is the best, camp roster we've ever fielded or put together. And I look at that group and I think the ceiling is so high, right? The floor has been raised, but so has the ceiling. And you can't help but wonder, what does it look like when SGA and Jamal Murray, they're in your backcourt? And then you have Andrew Wiggins, you have RJ Barrett. There's so much offensive power, there's so much skill, there's so much tools. But the big question is going to be, you have a short window. How fast do you build and foster that connective tissue, that connective fabric? Because that's what wins in international play. And we're not just talking about any international cup. We're now talking about the Olympics, right? And those guys, they've got to sacrifice some as well, right? They're talented. They're skilled. All those guys are, the feature players on their team where the basketball is in their hands. And how is that going to work, right? So there's going to be a lot of responsibility on head coach Jordy's, his shoulders. And even for Jamal Murray, right? Him and Shaven played together, right? You're not running two-man game with Jokic anymore. This is going to be a completely different brand of basketball where you're in tandem with another prolific scorer that commands a lot of attention, that commands the basketball as well. Wiggins is in the mix. So there's still a lot of question marks, but I think this is a great start, and we can all be excited about, that roster that's fielded. But now, guys, the next hurdle is guys showing up and checking in to camp, right? And then after that is everybody staying healthy through camp and committing through the end of training camp and then into exhibition games and then that first game into the Olympics. And then once we get to that point, then we're like, we're here, right? Now we can start to focus on our goal, but it's step by step first.
As Canada basketball improves and as more players make it to the NBA, and as you pointed out, like what a roster, the flip side of it is that veteran players who have really contributed to Team Canada for a long time might be left out, and that's exactly what happened to Cory Joseph on Wednesday. Your reaction to Cory Joseph being left off this roster?
Cory Joseph should be, on that training camp roster, point blank. When I think about myself as a player, I can understand where he would be hurt and disappointed because he's also put in a number of years in the red and white when nobody else would answer the call. So from Cory's perspective, I completely understand, right?
Yeah.
But two things can be right at once. And if you're Canada basketball and you have to make decisions and build the best team, there's no perfect way for a player like that to have a soft landing.
Yeah.
Right? So ultimately, decisions have to be made. And that one hurts, right? I know, General Manager Rowan Barrett spoke candidly earlier today, and, he knows Cory's family well. He's played in the men's leagues with his father. He knew him since he was knee-high. So this decision that had to be made was a tough one for him, right? And I think, there's a number of other NBA guys that aren't on that camp roster, right? You even think a Chris Boucher, right? And it just becomes tough because now we're in a position where we have to turn away NBA guys, right? And those are good problems to have. 10 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here talking basketball with you,
right?
Because we just didn't have the level of talent, right? So I think this is also new territory, uncharted territory for everybody in terms of, Canada basketball, the management of the players themselves. Because before you could do things the way you wanted to if you were one of the top elite players. Now you're coming in and we're talking about guys that are all-stars, guys that are potential MVP candidates, big players internationally as well as at the NBA level. So there's tough decisions to be made, and I think there's some learning curve here as well. Maybe communication could have been better from both sides, but we've never dealt with this before. Right? And going forward, how we manage these situations is going to be important.
Feelings are always going to get hurt.
Yeah.
This is just one of those things. It's great for Canada basketball. It's tough for Cory Joseph. Let's talk about the team itself, though. They get to Paris. They're competing. Can they hit the podium?
You don't subscribe to anything less, right? And it shouldn't be, we have to change that narrative in how we speak about this team, how we speak about basketball in Canada. It shouldn't be should they or can they hit the podium. The goal, if you look at this camp roster and what this will end up, what these 12 players will end up being, who they end up being, the goal should be gold medal, right? That's what everybody's sights should be set on. You have the second best roster in this Olympics, right? I think we can all agree on that. So why not us, right, is my stance there. And yes, if you aim for the gold medal and you fall short, it's a podium finish.
Yep.
But I don't think anybody should be thinking anything less than gold medal because podium is a standard. When I was playing, we got excited about qualifying, right? Just qualifying.
Yeah.
Times are completely different now. With every international tournament, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the qualifiers, you know, whether we're talking about Olympics, the ultimate and only goal that we should be discussing is the gold medal.